Welcome back to Raiding, everyone. My name is Shirley, and today we're going to be looking at Heroic Castle Nathria, the first boss in the instance, Shriekwing. This fight we did, day one, we skipped normal mode to jump right into Heroic and just see how things were tuned, how things were setting out. Right off the bat here, my talents are Skull Splitter. Sudden Death would be pretty good too. In most situations, it's pretty close, but I went Skull Splitter. Double Time, Second Wind. I picked Second Wind instead of D-Stance because you never know what kind of new raid fights you can kind of cheese with Second Wind because sometimes it ignores passive dot damage. Then I went Warbreaker, not that that talent row matters, Avatar instead of In for the Kill like we had been doing for the last couple of years, and also Dreadnought instead of Anger Management. And the last two talents I did for a specific reason. One, I have a Trinket that's a 1.5-minute cooldown that aligns perfectly with Avatar. It's a crit trinket. I can't remember exactly what it's called off the top of my head, but it's from one of the dungeons, and I had a mythic version of it, so that's why I picked it. And Dreadnought I also went with because I got the Epic Conduit for Crash the Ramparts, which buffs Overpower's damage and Dreadnought's damage, so it just seemed like the right fit. I also did not have a Juggernaut's Conduit at a high item level yet, so it just worked out that way. But anyway, jumping right into the fight here at 50%. We start off the poll with our standard opener, popping Avatar, cooldowns, Warbreaker, etc. And we want to be obviously condemning as much as we can during that top end. You do want to use one of your overpower stacks at least to kind of pad out your rage generation, since you have two with Dreadnought anyway. Later on and during the execute phase, you'll generally want to use overpower every single time it's up, but given that that first 20% of the fight goes so fast, and especially during the Colossus Smash window, if you've got the rage for it, I would say you want to get out as many condemns as possible, especially once you're nearing like 85% health and you get that last 5%. If you can squeak out, you know, as many as you can during that little window there, that's what you want to do. I also would Bladestorm during that window when I'm at low rage anyway, because I did go ahead and craft the first legendary, being Unhinged, the Bladestorm one that will auto-cast 2 Moral Strikes during your Bladestorm. I'm going to be using it for PvP, so I went ahead and crafted it anyway, since we didn't have the Signet of Tormented Kings. Obviously, the rotation and cooldown lineups are going to change a little bit once we have that, but, you know, that's what I was going with so far. And other than that, we are stacking behind the boss, avoiding the swipe that it does in front, and then, you know, not standing in all these blood pools. The boss will periodically cast that wave of blood, which puts a dot on everybody. If you were Kyrian, you could potion it off or whatever. Not that big of a deal either way. Here's the swipe I was talking about. We're all just gonna shimmy out of the way. It actually extends about 15 yards or so, so your ranged DPS definitely want to be a little bit away from the boss as well. Once we hit 50%, or maybe it's energy-based, it might be energy-based now that I think about it, the boss will enter phase 2, where he goes into the middle of the room and stalks around like you saw. During that portion, we're just avoiding these little sonic discs on the ground and not standing in anything, and anytime ear-splitting shriek goes out, like it is right here, we're going to be line-of-sighting around the pillar. I am throwing up, if you see me in any of the fights coming up that I'm just randomly spell reflecting, that's because it reduces magic damage taken, so I'm just seeing what's magic, what's not. It's good to experiment with things, like these blood pools on the ground. I wasn't sure if they were, you know, a magic dot or what, especially if you're walking through one. Might be a good idea to just throw up spell reflect occasionally for that. And you never know what kind of mechanics you can reflect as well. We found some pretty cheesy stuff in the Shadowlands so far that you can reflect, but other than that, I actually used my Covenant ability there. Wow, look at that. I did the Door of Shadows just to avoid all the discs coming out, and it gave me enough distance to charge back into the boss. And now that we're down to the last execute phase, at 35% for arms with Massacre at least, then unfortunately we hit 100 energy again, and we go into the intermission phase again. This probably wouldn't have happened if everybody was alive, but, you know, it's opening heroically, gear's pretty low. So we're going to be avoiding the Echoing Sonar again, and this time around there is a lot less space on the floor because of all the red pools left everywhere. They don't hurt that bad. I imagine this is going to be a lot more difficult on Mythic. But as it is right now, you can kind of just run through them. There I am, like, spell reflecting as I ran through that and didn't really take, you know, like 10% damage or whatever off that. Wasn't that big of a deal. If you are caught out here and your splitting shriek hits you, you will drop a pool on the ground as well, which just is less and less room to play with. I imagine later on, once we have a lot more gear, towards the end of the fights during the last phase, you'll if you have the room anyway, you'll probably be able to cheese it and just stand out for this thing, and it won't really matter. We'll see how that ends up playing out. But during the final execute phase here, I'm going to pop all my cooldowns once we come back around, use my second potion because it had been 5 minutes. We're going to condemn as much as we can during that CS window to burn off all their rage, and then I'm going to Blade Storm at the end of it for that initial burst of the Blade Storm tick and the Mortal Strike going out at the same time, so it's good to try and squeak that into the CS window if you can. You're also going to passively regenerate rage during Blade Storm, which will then, you know, allow you to condemn even more. And you, like I said earlier, you want to keep at least one overpower stack on cooldown, so you're not wasting the charges just sitting there. I'm going to go ahead and line of sight one last time here for the Shriek, and down goes Shriekwing. I'll see you again really soon for the next couple of bosses we did down on Heroic the first day, so hopefully it won't take me too long to get those done for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
Oh, I forgot about this part.
You mean this part?
Vicious wound on her up.
Yep, yeah, vicious wound, yep.
That part, yeah, that's definitely the part.
Yeah, that's the most important part.
Alara, did you get a feast down already?
No.